Sonic, the heart of your system.
I'm the awarded for Kit Guru here at the EKWB suite at the Hyatt Computex 2019. We're going to do a tour of the room. We're going to finish on something that is utterly unique, a product that is so understated and stealth. I walked past it twice before I even began to twig what it was. Colour me stupid. We're going to start with something that's at the opposite end of the spectrum, which is EKWB is going to start doing graphics cards, kind of. It's an industrial solution. You buy a chassis, it has this manifold. It's got quick breaks down it, it comes with those all pre-configured, and then you can buy graphics cards that have got this cooling assembly already connected up, and you literally plug it in and you go. Dual pumps, I presume for redundancy. It's all about keeping your system up and running, so not pretty, but quick breaks, remove components, plug them in, keep your system running. But look at that for compute on GPU. I mean, it's totally irrelevant to my world, but holy mackerel, that's some stuff. EKWB works with a number of partners. That's going to be a little bit of a theme of this room. Here we have the MSI Seahawk graphics card. Other than that, it's a pretty little PC, obviously dual colours, very nice, but that's all about the MSI graphics card down the bottom. We move around. We have fluid gaming, which is basic stuff. It's been tweaked. This is fluid gaming too, so it's now slightly more pretty. The aesthetic is better than it was, I think, at CES. Please don't hold me to that. So perfectly decent basic stuff, 240 rad, graphics block, CPU block, and here we have a DDC pump res combo. All good stuff, nothing particularly exciting, however, thumbs up EK. And then we move around to something that is rather more exciting. Fluid Gaming SI, SI for System Integrator. The idea here is, you are a system integrator in wherever the heck around the world. You build computers, you plug stuff together. That there liquid cooling is popular, but it's complicated. Yes, it is. So EK will sell you the SI, a case with a distro plate and the cooling components you require. So you receive this assembly, and then you, the SI, plug in whatever motherboard, CPU, memory, storage, and so on your customer wants, and what you want to do with the graphics card, which obviously makes a massive difference to the price. And you basically have entered the world as an SI, you've entered the world of proper, serious custom loop cooling, which obviously is a massive step up from adding an AIO. So that is neat. The idea is that although it's EK hardware, you would buy this system from the SI, whoever, insert name here of the SI in your area, in your country. So that's that. That's a nifty idea. That is EK spreading their market through other partners. Then we have Lignum. EK, Eddie Koenig, the man, his background is woodworking. We saw some prototypes of their wood products, which essentially they're aesthetic covers. We saw those at, I'm going to say, Computex last year. It might have even been before that. And here we have the finished product. I saw a press release the other day, so I'm assuming they've now launched. But basically, say your graphics block will come with the manifold and the covers for the unions as an assembly. The price, as I recall, is fairly brutal. But basically, you're looking at, say, 250 at a pop rather than 100. I mean, lots and lots of money, but totally unique products. It's just bonkers seeing wood inside a liquid-cooled PC. Coolant is obviously a matte black. That's in the cryofuel solid range, so that's a new, I mean, it is a color technically, but that's a new entrant to cryofuel solid, so that's coming soon. But the combo there, if you've seen a liquid-cooled PC like this before, well, personally, I have not. Moving around, we have a partnership with InWin, a distro plate at the front. This is the work of Joe Roby, naturally, and the idea is that InWin will sell this as an accessory. There seems to be a bit of conversation going on. So you visit your friendly e-tailer to buy the InWin 303 case, and then the distro plate available as an accessory. EK is very keen for this particular version of the case to come with a panel of plexi, and or you can have it with the distro plate installed. It's screwed in place. There are a handful of screws holding it in, so it's not like double-sided tape. This is properly done. The screws, for example, on this side that are visible are down here. So this is a proper piece of work. You can see there a little DDC pump on the back of the distro plate. I'll get out of Mel's way, just round there. I was asking whether that had adequate cooling, being as how there's no airflow over it. It's obviously right behind the plate. They say yes, no trouble whatsoever. You can see the clean aesthetic, the clean lines. All the tubes in this plane are straight. This tube here in the vertical plane is actually slightly curved. Nonetheless, very clean and tidy, and if Inwin starts selling that as a package with a distro plate, that will be interesting to see. Classic. This is down the bottom end of their product range, and yet it still looks pretty blooming good. But as with the Fluid Gaming hardware, he says, looking across the room to check the name, as with Fluid Gaming, Classic, it gives you a full setup, at a relatively budget price. I mean, it's not cheap, but you will be familiar if you've seen any EK hardware with these fittings in the past. We've seen this, we like it, it works. Again, DDC, cheaper and smaller than D5. Here we have some hardware that we saw in beta, and it was, I think, quite early beta at CES 6 months ago. It's a control unit, and it obviously has their software suite, which they don't have running, they've literally just turned it on. That unit, I think they said, is due to come to market in the rest of this year, or rather the second half of this year, so 4 to 6 months time. So the significant thing here is EK is getting into software control of cooling. It's kind of inevitable once you get to a certain size and a certain complexity, and that's where we're going. But we did have a look at this at CES, and it's nearly ready. Quantum. Quantum is the higher end of their cooling hardware. So you have, with the fittings, you have this knurled finish, and then you have these little cutouts. I call it castellation. I think they call it up and down. And then you have these accent rings, whole variety of colours, and that means on the assembled fittings, take this one here, for example, you can see there we got, it's quite a sort of a rust red, and there we have quite a subtle blue. And you can choose the colours to match or contrast with your coolant. So you've got another option of the aesthetic going on. You can work on your colours without changing the lighting. Here we have a system that we saw in prototype form at CES 2019. It's Joe Roby's own. It's this massive distro plate. It's very close to being ready for production. So it's all about the distro plate. Now, I actually misunderstood the system at first. It's a heavily revised Inwin 909, except it's not. It's based on the 909. It's much larger, much wider. There's loads more space in it. So the distro plate is integral to the structure. The cables, as you can see, pass through. It's got these clever inserts that go in these openings here and here to clamp the cables. So the opening in each instance is the same. The inserts, if you look carefully, they vary depending on what the cables are passing through. And this is the extraordinary thing. We're coming on the other side, Mel, because that was the back side of the system. We look at the front side of the system. Here is where the air flows out, because it comes in from this side, it comes in from this side, it's drawn in here and is expelled through these radiators there, which is an airflow I've never even considered before. These are two 60mm thick radiators, and it can accommodate a 480 this side and a 480 that side. So all the nasty fan type stuff is completely hidden from view. Look at the number of cooling tubes you've got going on. I mean, obviously the distro plate is a colossal part of the system, no two ways about it. But the actual number of tubes you've got connecting the distro plate to the outside world, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's it. It's an epic piece of hardware, truly remarkable. Moving along, we have a new CPU block. It's called Magnitude. Magnitude. This is specific to LGA 2011-2066. Looks very big and shiny, quite aluminium-y. This is what it looks like in more detail and not behind the plexi, different versions thereof. When you first look at it, apart from the fact you've got this aluminium frame and you've got a single set of mounting points because it's specific to one CPU socket, you've got different finishes, different materials, obviously. You've got symmetrical points for the two G-quarter threads. Instead of having one in the center or center-ish and one offset, they're both evenly spaced. And the reason for that is that internally pulls out some of this hardware, really heavily encased in that foam. You can flip the cooling engine. So instead of having to flip the block 180 degrees to get the cooling the way you want it to go, you can choose which of those two holes is intake and which is outlet. Obviously the fittings are dead straightforward because it's only for the one socket, and we've got a variety of materials and finishes for different aesthetics primarily. Clearly the block up top is full nickel, but they are also going to do a POM acetal with RGB in it, amazingly. I mean, it kind of looks like it's out of place. But full nickel there, and down here aluminium. But this is all about what you can do with cooling if you basically don't mind too much about the cost. This is going to be expensive, but not crazy expensive. I was hazarding a guess at 200 or 250, apparently more like 150. So expensive, but not the end of the world. And then we have the showstopper. Does it have a name, this system? Okay, we have the unnamed system. Joe Roby, JR23. This is his next crazy thing. This system is like nothing you've ever seen before. We've talked about monoblocks in the past. They're not monoblocks, they're half blocks. This is a monoblock. If you look, you will see a block that extends. The motherboard is inverted. This is the EVGA dark. So all the connections for the power up, the side, memories at the top, and it's inverted, so everything's in the wrong place. But the monoblock goes from the CPU and it extends all the way up here. And then when you look at the blocks for the graphics cards, there's no obvious way for them to connect to the monoblock because the whole thing's kind of assembled back to front. You assemble the cooling package sort of on your bench, and then you put your motherboard on it, and in this instance he's got a removable motherboard tray to work with, and then you put the whole assembly in your case. The graphics blocks, these are Radeon 7s, did you say, Joe?
Correct, Radeon 7s.
Radeon 7s. The graphics blocks, we're talking 2 kilos. If you look at the sides, you can see, apart from that there's a bit of gold going on, there's some heavy metal in there. And basically, you're missing components. There's not enough stuff. Count the hoses. 2, just 2 for the entire blessed system. And then you come down, and then you've got radiator. It's just, there's not enough of it. And the thing is, Joe tells me, with a straight face, this was right first time. You've made one version, this is that version. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's indecently pretty. Love it. You probably can tell that, though. That's it, we're done. That's EKWB Suite at Computex 2019. Loads of good stuff. Absolutely loved it. Been a brilliant tour. I'm Leo Woodard for Kit Guru. Hit the bell button. We'll alert you to new videos as they become available. Make sure you check back. There'll be more videos from Computex this week. I'm Leo Woodard for Kit Guru. EKWB Suite.